get it out of the way for the Russell Brand thing. Everybody's inferring it's a crime, but not outright saying it. People are confusing their moral squeamishness with the law, and everybody knows what he does, but they pretend they don't. And most of the fainting couch morality is motivated by personal brand buildings. So, in spite of all that, I still believe her. I've been doing this for about 7 or 5 years now. And even the people that say they don't get it, or say they get it, they still don't get it. I don't think that's going to change. I think Camus was right. Imagine if Sisyphus was happy.
'79T 2458 Learning Corp. Little Red Riding Hood. Take one.
All right, whatever. Welcome to the channel, boys. If you're new to this one, okay. So if you see here, there's no Hawaiian shirts, there's no sunglasses, there's no rockin' extremely pink hat, reflective shades, shit posting, no Matt Walsh videos, nothing. It's just you and it's just me, and I'm gonna make this one like the boring C-SPAN article where we talk about like what is the red pill. Like, you guys have seen the title of this one, right? Did I label it properly? I think I did. How does the red pill actually work, you know? And I thought, why not actually go through it? Because everybody's ridiculous, and the ass models of Instagram have seriously marketed us into a corner to the point that Sneeko talking to children is now a red-pilled concept. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just get back to basics. Let's get back to basics. So I have a couple plans. First one is I'm going to start in heavy. I'm going to start in heavy. If we're going to get demonetized, let's do it. I'm going to talk about abuse cycles. I'm going to talk about abuse cycles and why the red pill exists. It's going to be a great tie-in. It's going to ruffle some feathers. A lot of people are going to get mad, and former victims of abuse are going to be very angry at me. So I hope you guys appreciate this, because it's really not going to be worth the headache. On top of that, we're going to go into some very basic red pill stuff. I'm not going to go full like syllabus like I would. The sidebar series is always there for that. And I am going to give you guys an example of what we do in Patreon, which is a continuation of a tradition passed down from red pill to pickup artist to blah, 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 blah. You're going to like it. It's going to be what actually is, like, you've seen Praxeology Volume 1 frame out in stores today. You've seen this. You've seen what I talk about. How do you actually go through it? What the hell's an OODA loop? What the hell is a field report? How the hell am I supposed to learn from this? What is it? Like, what is it that happens here that you see all these people with, hey, this fixed my life. Hey, this saved my marriage. This blah, blah, blah. Nobody ever says how, though, because it's, frankly, it's embarrassing for a lot of people. Talking about your personal life with such raw honesty, especially the parts that are embarrassing or hurtful, nobody's going to talk about that. That's why I have to be here, and I have to anonymize people's stories and give them to you, because otherwise, like, no, not at all. You've already seen it. You see what happens online if guys start showing any type of weakness. No, not going to happen. And who's the ones loudly proclaiming otherwise? It's those idiot trads who are like, I've been married for like 6 months now. My child is 3 months old. You can talk to me when you've done exactly what I've done and the way I've done it. Until then, you're no expert to me. And you're just like, no. Anywho. So what I go with here, abuse cycles. I'm going to talk about a couple of the important big picture articles. And then I'm going to get into field report examples, and I'm doing this all live. I'm going to do this all live. There's no like I've pre-done the things and done the notes and got the talking points. I'm going to show you guys live. Zero prep. I'm literally just going to go to like an old Own Your Shit from like 2017, 2018. Stuff that maybe I'll remember, but probably not. And then we'll just go from there as if it's a brand new thing. I think that's far enough back that we don't have to worry about somebody's, family getting blown up because he's on a stupid podcast. And then, actually, you know what? That's a lot. I might skip the rest of that. So we'll see. If we have some time at the end, I'll tag on some extra bonuses for you, I promise. Now, I did say I'm not throwing up any goofy shit, but it doesn't mean I don't have a book to sell, so. I've transformed. I'm charming. I'm good looking and in shape, but bored. I need something to do next. Another challenge to conquer. Please give it to me. Abuse cycles. Oh my god. This is one of those ones, and this is going to explain why the red pill is an immoral sexual strategy play. Or not, yeah, amoral, not immoral. There's a difference. People don't know. I'm just going to assume, and no offense to you guys, I'm going to assume the audience is completely like grade 8 raving level, pants on head, ridiculous. Like, I know you guys aren't, but there's somebody watching this who probably doesn't get it, and they're going to spam my mention. So I'm going to be, I hate this line, but let's be very clear. You can always tell a politician's about to lie to you when they start saying, let's be clear. It's like, no, let's not. Let's be honest. So when I talk about the red pill being an amoral place, that doesn't mean there's no morals, that nothing's off limits, and whatever you do, as long as it works, consequences be damned. That's what people think it means. Now, I don't think they're being disingenuous when they say that. I think people really can't look past their own solipsism. If you don't know, solipsism really means that you don't think anything outside of you exists. Everything here is just a projection of your internal thoughts. Women are solipsistic, and increasingly men are getting there too. So, amoral means the absence of morality. Immoral means like the rejection of morality. So, for example, if you're one of those guys that's walking around, hitting people, graping women and that stuff, absolutely immoral. Amoral would be discussing that stuff. David Dutton, Wisdom of Psychopaths, great example. It's an amoral story about psychopaths and how they function and the things we can learn from them. And that's essentially what the red pill means. Like, look, we need to be able to talk about anything and everything because we don't know where the value is. We don't know what's applicable. We don't know what's not. So without this free and open marketplace of ideas, and I'm not saying fights don't start, and I'm not saying feelings don't get hurt, and I'm not saying some stuff isn't absolutely horrific. What I am saying is, though, it's like you need to have it there. You need to have it there. And this is like, and I don't want to equate this to like the free speech for blah, like those guys are gone. Forget it. And the perfect example of that is abuse, physical abuse, not emotional abuse, not financial abuse, all this other stuff, because women love to expand the meaning of terms. Because if everything is grape and then nothing is grape, that's the consequence. But nobody sees that. They see if everything is grape, then I can use grape. And I'm obviously, I'm just, I'm saying grape, get rid of, it's a soft G. That means I can use this selectively to benefit myself. Now, women aren't Machiavellian this way, and not in the way you think, where it's like a conscious choice. I'm going to weaponize a Me Too accusation. What it is a self-delusional thing. Like, I've seen it. Anybody here who's got a mother-in-law has probably seen it. Anybody here who's dated a crazy girl has probably seen it. You watch them where they'll say something, and then you can watch them keep repeating the mantra, and they're like riling themselves up because they want to believe this thing because it benefits them. So they have to convince themselves first. You're watching the self-lie take hold. And this is how a lot of this stuff happens. Dark Knight Dev went to the 50 Cent concert on Wednesday. All those rap shows, a lot of Karens dating guys from the Underground Railroad, Austrian painter, big mad. Oh, I can imagine. I think he's in Toronto this weekend. And it's just kind of funny. Like, I was just at the Smashing Pumpkins concert, same thing. I'm like, oh my God, this is my demographic. What is wrong with these people? They're so old and fat. What the hell happened? Yeah, you mean like how women create their own definitions for cheating or bad behavior? Yeah, and it's like you see it in politics too. If you guys ever wondered why so much red pill stuff seems applicable to politics, it's because essentially politics is Machiavellian. So it's acting like a woman. That's why you say, let's be very clear, and then don't be clear. That's like girl math. Have you ever heard of that, girl math? Girl math is the thing where girls make up this long-winded justification how spending money is actually making money. Dude, I just saved this, and if we do this, and we do this, I'm basically earning money by buying this $500 dress. It's like a hilarious thing. There's like a New Zealand podcast. It's called Girl Maths, plural. And it's like a bunch of girls talking over, like, you send me your notes about how you want to buy something and we'll help you justify it. And then there's one guy on that cast who just acts befuddled that basic math has ruined so bad. Anywho. Okay, you guys are talking about random stuff. So back to abuse cycles. And a lot of people, is he really dangling this in front of us? Yes, I'm dangling in front of you. Why do abused women love their men so much? And that's a crazy thing. You can't really talk about it though, because it's taboo. It's faux pas. The idea of somebody treating women bad and making them uncomfortable, making them hurt. Oh, that's the worst thing. You can't do that. That's horrible. You don't want to do that. And I kind of agree. Like, I'm not pro abuse, but it's a thing, and there's a reason it's there, and there's a lesson for us. And the only way you can get there is with an amoral look at why. So, for example, there is a red-pilled article from, I think it's a Jack Ten of Hearts one, which is actually really good. It's one of the earlier mids watches I had where we discuss how a woman's father is the only man in her life who gives her validation for reasons other than wanting sex. So it's like the only honest thing, right? Can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. Absent fathers means girls are more than likely able to get validation for reasons other than sex, but just haven't learned and haven't been taught unless they get a lucky boyfriend early on. And that's kind of where I'm going with this, right? So everybody's like, oh, this means no fathers in the house, all women are whores. It's not like that. You got to think about life like a bell curve. Some people will absolutely be fully normally functional, live happy, productive lives, and die wonderful things, lifelong marriages, no matter what situation you put them in. You put them in 1940s Germany, you put them in 1960s Russia, they will figure a way out. Those people are fine. No changing them. They're naturals. There is some people that are shaped entirely by their environment that will rise and fall based on what environment you put them in. You put them in 1950s America, they're going to be a traditional conservative. They're going to have a family that lasts for 40 years. They're going to die in each other's arms. It's going to be great. You put them in 1940s Germany, they're calling the cops on their neighbors upstairs for hitting the floorboards too hard. Do you know what I mean? There's other people that it doesn't matter what you do. You can hand them gold on a platter. You can give them Jack's beanstalk. You can give them a goose that lays the golden eggs. They'll find a way to screw it up. There is no helping them. There is no fixing them. There is, no matter what happens, they will find a way to screw it up. They are just made to be a cautionary example. The problem is that first group tells you the problem doesn't exist. This doesn't exist. Just draw the owl, bro. That's a reference to a cartoon where everybody's like, how do you draw an owl? And they're like, well, just draw some circles and then draw the rest of the owl. And that's the reference to people talking like, oh, just go talk to girls, bro. Oh, just have a good marriage, bro. Or just devote yourself. Like, it's a very vague term. It's all those details that matter. Now, those people will attack you or because how do you not get this? And then some people just, it's like asking a fish to describe water. He doesn't know. It's everywhere. It's his entire life. It's everything. What does air taste like? Do you know? Could you describe it? No. And then the people that have absolutely no chance, the bottom dwellers, they will sit here and complain endlessly. Well, why would you suggest that? It's not going to work. And every time you give a solution to a problem, or at the very least, a pathway to find your own solution, they have to find the exception. Well, what about this? Well, what about this? Well, I better not try. And it's like, you know what? Those guys need to go walk into the goddamn ocean. They really do. They really do. So it's this middle group, and this is the group that Red Pill is for. Archwinger, great essay on it. Why men aren't happy. Why do guys even find the red pill? Do you think a guy honestly wants to, like, hey, you know what I'm missing in my life? Casual misogyny and to make my life more difficult than it needs to be. That's exactly what I need, because I read an article on Reddit. It's like, really? Do you really think people are that stupid? No. You think for 1 minute, all that middle of the bell curve people that are shaped by their environment, you think they wouldn't love to marry their virginal high school sweetheart, have a 70-year marriage, die happy with your children surrounding your bed with tea can? Dude, if that was an option, everybody would take it. Everybody. But it's not, and that's why. It's not. People aren't happy. There's guys that aren't happy. Everybody else is happy. The wife is happy. The boss is happy. The parents are happy. The kids are happy. Everybody's happy but this guy, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. And nor should they. I'm not saying that they need to care. I'm not telling you what you should do. I'm saying that guys need to come to the realization that nobody cares except for you. So why are you treating this guy like such a piece of crap? He wipes your ass every day. He feeds you. He takes care of your family. He goes to your job. This guy does everything for you and the people around you that you purport to love and purport to love you back. And you still treat him like shit. No. Take care of this guy. Anywho, so those guys aren't happy. Everybody gets mad about it, and I get it. So back to the abuse cycles. Where was I going with this one? Oh, yes. So there's abusive fathers. Some dads out there that smack their kids around. I don't know if you guys have heard about this before. It happens. I don't endorse it. I don't agree with it, but it happens. I was in one of those really shitty childhoods. So like, I get it. I get it. Now, when you're in those ones, kids always want validation from their parents. It's kind of like an instinctual survival trait things. If your parents are ignoring you, chances are you're going to be left alone in the woods. You're going to die. So we need parent validation. We get that. How you get it is based on this back and forth. So think of it this way. Dad, not a fan of his kids. They're kind of annoying. He's stressed out after work. So he basically is off doing his own thing. And the kids want his attention. And they try doing it by being loving. And they try doing it by doing nice things for him. And none of it works. But if they misbehave, he beats them. But it's still attention. And so once you do that enough times, you kind of train people's instincts into, and this is a quote. This is a quote from people in like abused women's shelters. At least I know when he hits me, he's thinking about me. They say that kind of stuff. And that's kind of ingrained in us when we're young. So like they don't know how best to get dad's attention other than misbehaving and then getting hit and called a piece of crap, right? In the same way, we have guys that are raised to be defective women, you know, all that stuff. We've talked about that 100 times. I'm not going to waste it here because it's kind of off topic. Women get that. Some women get that kind of message. And again, I talked about the 3 types on the bell curve, right? There is some people that can go through a horrific, abusive childhood and still end up functional and normal. There is no stopping them. They are happy. They are always the ones that chime in and get mad about this. Ginger, another one of my favorite expat Canadian content creators. I'd put her in top 2 next to her husband. Talks about, oh, let me tell you what it's really like. I'm like, look, they broke the mold when they made you, honey. You're great. You really are. Most people aren't. Most people are hideously average. Most people just go along to get along, and most people don't have those insights you come up with. So this is for those people. This is for that middle of the bell curve, the shaped by their environment people. These are the BPD girls you date. These are the ones that always accuse you of cheating and then cheat on you. These are the ones that they have the perfect life and then they screw it up because they feel like they're not entitled to it. And again, politics guys get it. There's that thing floating around on Twitter with, what's his name? Joe Rogan interviewing Louis C.K., where he's talking about illegal immigration. It's like, we need more immigrants. Life here is too good. We need it to be shitty. My buddy has a similar sentiment where he's like, dude, my life is going so well right now. Like he and his wife, both high earners, 2 wonderful kids, great house in the middle of like lovely, quiet and peaceful Halifax. Like no floods ever hit him. Nothing ever goes bad. He goes, I have to get cancer. They believe in this just world, and the better things are going for them, the more guilty they are about it, and the more they need bad things to happen. That's why when you're dating a girl who's been the abuse, how do I want to word this? When you're dating a girl who's been the recipient of an abusive parental strategy, they respond when you treat them poorly. Because that's all they know. They know they're supposed to be treated well. They know they're supposed to be valuable. They might know they're attractive, but your brain doesn't work like that. Just because somebody tells you something, just because your frontal lobe hears it, doesn't mean your limbic brain responds to it. You know what they respond to? They respond to dad who's drinking and hits them around. And there's we can talk about it on Twitter. I can point out exact people we're talking about here. But I got enough of that. We're not naming names. That's not the point. And that's why, and it was something I realized too. So that I've talked about it in my book, Fuck Files, which I'll put an ad for it right now. Because why wouldn't I? Where the hell's book? There it is.
Single moms. A horrible position that's not my problem.
Um, yeah, so you're dating a girl, and she responds well to that abusive attitude. I was dating a girl. I talked about her. I think it's chapter 12, the dog walker. And it was one of those things. She pissed me off one day. She was dating a buddy of mine. I kicked her out of my house, physically grabbed her, threw her out of my house, and bounced her shoes off her ass, closed, locked the door, and left. My buddy apologized. He left. Oh, it's because he called my cousin a whore. That was what I remember. Anyway, so we ended up dating, and I was like, what the hell? This is weird. And it was not my proudest moment. It was the most dehumanizing thing ever. I'm like, whatever, I'll have my fun and I'll be gone. I'm not invested. I don't care. I don't even like her. There's no way in hell she'd put up with this, right? It'll be fun and then it'll be over and it's a weekend and I can get on with my life. And then the weirdest thing happened is that she kept coming back. And I was like, what the hell? And so I'm like, maybe I'm just not acting bad enough. And I act worse. Like, not criminally worse. I don't want you to think that I'm like, gonna end up on a Me Too poster one day. It's nothing like that. It's just really crappy boyfriend type behavior. Like, I didn't even use her name. I gave her a nickname. I never let her spend the night. Like, all like random stuff like this. And the worse I acted, the better she responded. The more sexually available she was, all this stuff. And it blew my mind. I'm like, this is not supposed to work. This goes against everything I was taught and trained. Until eventually, and this was like, I don't know, a couple months later, I broke character and I was like, dude, I don't get, like, why do you let me do this? I felt bad. I felt bad. And I'm like, why? And she goes, I don't know. It's fun. Whatever. Anyways, it kind of went downhill after that when I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I'm done. She went back to my buddy and I don't know what happened to them, but whatever. And to look at her, nothing about her screamed, bad woman. No tattoos, no colored hair. She looked like the girl next door. She was from like nowhere, Saskatchewan, country girl. Perfectly nice. Outward appearances, fine. So you never know. Yeah, the girl that I treated the worst, I found out was on antidepressants. Oh yeah, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of that to go around with it too, right? I'm not even going to get into the SSRI things. But that's the problem, is that a lot of these people are so used to a certain behavior that they would rather feel comfortable in misery than uncomfortable outside of it. That's what I know. That's all I know, and that's what I'm sticking with. And you're like, all right, well, you know what? You're a pretty girl. We got a great life. You got a good job. How about I just treat you like a normal person and treat you better? It doesn't work. It doesn't work. If you've ever dated one of those girls with the I can save her kind of attitude, or just, how about we just move past it? Try that out. No, you end up with all of a sudden now the past trauma in my life means we can't fool around. They sabotage things because in their heart of hearts, they believe, it's not true, but they believe that you're going to be just like one of those other people. The reason you see her as a good person. And she's like, I'm not a good person. I'm a bad person. My dad told me for 20 years I'm a bad person. And I was dating all of these bad people and they told me I was a bad person. And you come around and you're going to lie to my face telling me I'm a good person? No. So they know at some point you're going to figure out who I am. And then when that happens, heaven forbid I buy into the lie that I'm a good person. It's going to be extremely heartbreaking. So what do? I'm going to cheat on him and sleep with his dad. I'm going to sleep with his brother. I am going to sabotage this just so I don't have to go through the heartbreak of finding out that I trusted somebody and it cost me. And that's why every guy who tries to save a girl, it doesn't work. And why not every. Here's the thing. Now, talking about the girls that survive no matter what, I have a good friend and she was one of those ones where she was in an abusive childhood, had a couple crappy guys, and just made the decision. She's like, you know what? Whatever. Moving past it. I'm going to be a healthy human being. And I was like, wow, good for you. That was awesome. Zero bullshit, by the way. She was an awesome friend. And she just made the decision just not to talk about it, not to deal with it, was just to move past. Doesn't matter if I'm a good person. I'm going to act as if I'm one because I don't like that previous life. A lot of people get to that point and they understand it and they get through it. And you'll never know. You'll never know if Uncle Touchy was at the Christmas party because they're not going to tell you because they're refusing to let that define them. I don't know how to make that magic sauce. I don't fix women. But I will say this. The ones who bring it up for a reason. It's called an early frame announcement, EFA. Practical Female Psychology for the Practical Man. David Clare what's the other guy's name? Franco, talk about it. When they tell you who they are, believe them. And I know for a fact, I've heard this multiple times, so I know you've heard this. When you're dating a girl and you first get started and she lets you know, just so you know, I'm bad news. I'm trouble. There's something wrong with me. I just want you to know right up at the front. And as a guy, you're thinking, oh, a challenge. This is great. She's probably crazy in bed. Then she stabs you. You're like, didn't see that coming. Like, didn't you? Didn't you? And some guys, they marry these women. Somebody has to. Somebody has to settle down with these ones. Not all of these girls become spinsters. It's actually, there's a contingent of guys that were in the Married Red Pill who were like, how do I fix my marriage dealing with these kind of people? And they started getting into what's called transactional analysis, or TA theory. You may have heard of it as the PAC model, parent, adult, child. It's kind of similar to it's a similar framework to the harmony and status that I talk about in Praxeology Volume 1 frame. And sometimes it's similar to, what's the other one? Not MBTI. There's a whole bunch of like psychological frameworks that people talk about, right? Whole lot of them. This is just another one. And the idea is like interactions are between a parent, an adult, and a child mentality. And some are negotiations, because some are unsustainable and some are sustainable. Two adults, good. Adult, parent, not good. Adult, child, not good. Parent, child, good. Child, not good. So eventually somebody has to shift one way or the other, right? Attachment styles. Yeah, so there's and that's what they latched on to, where I always get these wrong because like it's not a useful one. There's avoidant attachment, there's comfortable attachment. It's something to do with like when kids are around strangers, are they the kid that hides behind mom's dress, or are they the kid that goes out and talks to random people? I don't know. I could look into it more, but what I'm seeing is guys were doing it because they clearly assume they have avoidant attachment wives. You know, they're one guy had an example where she was disgusted by or like freaked out by his physical touch. And she's like, oh, this must be avoidant attachment. And then the other girl's like, oh, she's on SSRI, she's psychologically this. Oh, it's avoidant attachment. Avoidant attachment became the new buzzword for my wife won't fuck me. I can fix this. Maybe true, but my question is like, why should you have to? And why are you discussing it here? Like, we're not in the business of fixing women. We can't fix women. Women are individuals. They have to want to fix themselves. And I've seen way too many women pull up their big girl panties and fix them. So the idea of you fixing her, I just don't buy it. Now, a lot of those guys are still there and they're still talking about it and they're still bringing up avoidant attachment theories. It's every 3 years, every 6 months, something new will come up. So, I mean, maybe they figure it out. And if so, good to them. I'm not gonna, like I said, it's an amoral space. Nothing's off limits. I still think it's ridiculous. Problem is, the subset of those guys end up doing that, and it's really just an attraction issue. They're offloading their own personal responsibility to their own personal sexual strategy onto the girl. It's not that I'm unattractive. It's not that I'm not attractive enough. It's that my girl's anxious avoidant. It's like, really? You're 50 pounds overweight. You smoke, you drink, you don't flirt with your wife, you don't lead by example, you live in squalor, your job sucks, you have no edge to you whatsoever, but it's avoidant attachment theory. It's like, right. So I find it's just like, whether it's true or not is irrelevant. That's the other thing about Red Pill. Red Pill is not about what's true, it's about what's useful. So wife may have avoidant attachment theory. She may have had an abusive childhood. It may be carried over. She may treat abuse as a positive thing, like a positive reinforcement thing. Maybe you can help, maybe you can't help, but like none of this is useful. None of it. And I hate to say it, but is it your job to save like this whole family? It's not just one person that screwed this up. There is an entire family of enablers, an entire family of people who decided this is the life that I think we're going to live. And I'm going to make no effort to get out of it. And I'm going to blame everything else. There's not enough shelters. There's not enough this. There's not enough that. It's everybody's fault but my own. And yeah, I get it. It's a very, very popular message to say, life is hard. Why won't somebody save me? And that's essentially, anybody who argues with this is saying that. How dare you? Those are victims. That man was evil. And these people didn't know any better, and they were trapped. It's like, I don't care. Everybody has problems, man. Everybody's had a shitty childhood. You get over it and you move on. Why? Because you have no choice. Like, what else are you going to do? What else are you going to do? There's some of my favorite guys in the red-pilled space. My favorites. Like, I've had a shitty childhood, but I don't talk about it much because these guys would laugh at my shitty childhood. They're like, let me walk you through it. I don't know. I don't want to out anybody's shitty childhood because we're not here for like fucking Batman origin stories. But yeah, feel free to ask around. Some of the guys are very open about it, and they'll let you know. It's like, this is why I have zero patience for your middle class bullshit. I'll say this. As a kid, no 16-year-old upper middle class rural guy needs to know what crack smells like. That's just not a thing. I shouldn't know a murder victim in my family. I shouldn't know a murderer in my family. So, like, I don't want to hear it. Well, that's so abusive. Shut up. Do you want to fix it or do you want to sulk? And most people want to sulk. You know why? Because if you sulk, it's not your fault. It's somebody else's fault. And I have noticed that people are willing to put up with the most horrible situations as long as you can blame somebody else. I remember this. I was sitting on ship. I was, I must have been like a brand new ordinary seaman. That's the only way this makes sense. And if you don't know, the junior ranks mess where we eat and drink and, you know, party and hang out, there's a table in the back. That's for the stokers, the engineers. And the table in the front is for the weapons techs because they have to get in and get out and they're always working. And I remember they would sit there every day, drink their coffee, and they'll talk to each other. And the only topic of conversation at that tech table was everybody's an asshole but me. My boss is stupid. My watch supervisor's stupid. These guys are going to get somebody killed. The officers are doing this. The captain this. The XO this. Everybody's an asshole but me. And then they put their coffees away in the thing. They get up. They go to work. They do their shift. They come back. Every story, absolutely. They want to replace this weapon part with aluminum. It needs to be steel or people are going to die. He's such an idiot. Every story was absolutely 100% true. And I looked at that and I'm like, dude, imagine coming into work every day and complaining about how everything is stupid. If I ever get to that point, I'm out. And it's true. After my whole like espionage, rigmarole, accusation, Me Too thing with the military, I remember afterwards, I sat there and I was just like, somebody was talking to me in just the equivalent of the junior ranks. It was a cafeteria. Talking to me about the whole situation, how it was messed up. And I was sitting there and complaining about it. And then I stopped after lunch and I'm like, oh my God, that moment came. And then I started doing some math. I'm like, all right, how much would I need to earn? And, you know, you do the logistics about it. And I just made the decision. I'm out. And it was just funny. It's just funny because I see these other people doing it. And it's like, you can do it. All you have to do is be okay with discomfort. That's it. If you're okay with that, you can be great. So with the abuse ones, I don't like it being weaponized this way. I'm abused, therefore you must cater to me. It's like, no. no, that's not how this works. If you want to be fixed, you can be fixed. And this is why I refuse to proselytize. I refuse to red pill your friends. I refuse to any of that stuff. I'm like, no. You cannot convince somebody to come here. They have to want to come here. They have to want to learn this stuff. I have no desire to cheerlead. I have no desire to proselytize. I am not a marketing campaign. My marketing campaign is strictly, this is me, this is what I do, and watch me make fun of a whole bunch of people that are absolutely stupid so you can get some entertainment out of it and maybe let your friends know about me and they might like to see more. That's it. Now, it's a horrible marketing strategy. As you can tell, Rollo is like 10 times my size on all of his brands and all of his book sales and that. So there is a cost. I get it. I don't know. How much is your dignity worth? I can officially put a price tag to it. And so can you. So, abuse cycles. 35 minutes. Let's do another book.
Charles Bukowski. Jordan Peterson. Neil Strauss. I like these guys. Add some salt to cover up the bitterness of middle-aged soccer moms and put in the oven for 45 minutes. Optionally, you can take from all this stuff what you want and leave the rest. So enjoy Fuck Files. 15 lessons from a decade of women, now on audio.
These are such lame advertisements too. I love it. It's like The most boring C-SPAN 1950s, and now back to your regularly Thou the Shadow in full HD audio. So the important big picture. This is one of those ones, I actually have to look some of this stuff up because it's been a while since I've talked about it. Yes, Virginia. So this one, you know what? I'll put you a link. You can join along on this journey. Welcome. Somebody's asking about Sneeko. I don't care. He is here for me to make fun of in order to build a following. That's it. Other than that, he's completely useless to me. So Whisper had this great post because he's kind of, and I'm seeing the same thing here. If you notice, the trads are up the ass of the red pill lately. Matt Walsh is mad again. Who's that other chick? I can never remember who's who half the time. All right, whatever. Anyways, you know the wipe. They're Catholics with 6 kids, and I've been married for 6 months, and I'm a guy, and I don't have a girlfriend yet, but I want a virgin. All those return to tradition types, right? Candace Owens, all of them. And they'll sit here and it's like, the red pill is evil. The pickup artists are stealing our women. They're ruining marriage. It's like, bro, slow down. We are not a cause. We are an effect. Secondly, they need a villain, and the feminists are busy fighting in the Ukraine right now, so like they aren't available for pissing matches. And it always happens. Somebody will accuse red pill guys of this, that, or the other thing, and then red pill guys are in the quote tweets, and don't get me wrong, I do it too. It's a bit of theater. I get it. In the quote tweet saying, actually, we're not. Like, red pill guys are destroying marriage. No, we're not destroying marriage. We just want. It always is the same format. No, we are not doing what you're accusing us of doing. We just want. It's that just. That just is doing heavy lifting. That's a minimization. That's saying what I'm doing isn't a big thing. It's a small thing. It's, come on, man. Come on. A little bit of coercion. It's just this. It's just an ice cream. You're on a diet. It's just ice cream. It's whatever. It's just one night of rejection. It's like, no. Moana McNeil. $5 New Zealand. From Midswatch in New Zealand. Cheers for your work, Ryan. Cheers to you, Moana. Chesty. Hey, guys, buy my book. Now Sneeko can fuck off. Nice. So yeah, the Whisper article. It's like, first they called you delusional for thinking such boorish behavior might work. Then they swore these tricks would never, ever, ever, ever work on them because they are not party sluts. Now the bleeding has taken a tone of, isn't there a way for men to look out for their own interests without being so savage to women? To which you, being sane, introspective, analytical sort of young man, are tempted to respond like, it's not savage. It's just looking out for your own interest. A guy who has standards like this is unfortunately seen as some kind of devil. Anything that's not pro-male or put the woman first is heinous in today's society. It's like, stop that. You're supposed to agree and amplify but you don't, because deep down, you're not an asshole. You don't want to be an asshole. Well, crush that dream. Because, and he's like, that anything is pro-male or doesn't put women first is considered heinous in today's society. That sentiment, dead wrong. It's not today's society that regards male self-preservation as heinous. It isn't a plot cooked up by feminists or leftists or communist infiltrators seeking to sap and impurify our precious bodily fluids. It's hardwired into the human genome. Human beings, both male and female, are hardwired to be more sympathetic to girls. Tribes that didn't protect their women via male self-sacrifice died out. And this is not only built into everyone out here calling you an asshole, it's built into you. And it requires extensive brainwashing, internal or external, to overcome. That's the point of this. So unless you're being comfortable, not just being called the bad guy, but actually being him, you're never going to be able to put your own interests before those of some chick you just met 3 days ago who doesn't give a shit about you unless she wants your dick, your attention, or your money. That's how people are. That's how you are. So the real answer, the factual answer, the analytical answer to the question, is there a way for men to look out for their own best interest without being so savage to women, is simply no. Because harsh, savage, brutal, those words just mean men looking out for their own interests. Not only to feminists, not to society, not to women, to everybody. So the answer to give when somebody accuses you of stuff, when they call you out, when they call you an asshole, all that stuff, is to select from, and he gives us a great choice of items here. Meh, don't care, got laid. Yep, I'm an asshole raised by wolves. I don't remember asking for your goddamn opinion. We prefer the term ethically challenged. And then Yay. Or any other response that indicates you don't give a shit. This right here, I have been here since 2017. It's like 5 years now, coming on 6. I don't know how to do math, whatever. You guys do the math, correct me in the chat. Years I've been trying to show and tell. Not just say it, show you. The shit posts are a strategic choice when I do them on Twitter. Somebody says some dumb stuff, I give them an absolutely acerbic response. Because I don't give a shit about Matt Walsh. I think Matt Walsh is a fucking moron. I think he's a grifting tard. I think he panders to people, sells them on hopes and dreams. I don't think he lives up close to his ideals. If you don't doubt me, I would not be surprised if he gets a full Steven Crowder treatment at some point. I would also not be surprised if he hides it because that would ruin his brand because he learned from Steven. We all know. And it's like, what's the point? Call them hypocrites. Like, of course they're hypocrites. Why wouldn't they be hypocrites? Makes money. Peterson's making $8 million a year at Daily Wire. You think he's not going to act like a hypocrite from time to time for $8 million? That is a motivation with a universal adapter to it. I don't even care. So yeah, what do you do when somebody's basically making money? 8 years, $8 million a year. Don't give a shit. Just don't give a shit. But you're giving a shit on... No, I'm theatrically giving a shit. I don't give a shit. I'm doing this because you guys give a shit and you'll resonate with it. And then you'll click the link and then you'll see my thing and then you'll read this stuff. And if you want to be the kind of guy who learns how, yes, Virginia, you have to be an asshole, this is the pathway to get there. I wish there was a different way. I wish I could just say this stuff and people would listen and it would work and their lives would be better. And we'd, a bunch of extra people would try to things in their own life and explain their life experiences, but it doesn't work that way. You have to be a parent with a spoon that's shaped like an airplane, full of medicine, and you have to tell them, make whooshing sounds, and then put it into their mouth. I wish there was a better way. Sucks for you. You're the child in this example, and I'm the really pissed off parent that probably beats his kids. I'm joking. Yeah. Another one is Archwinners. What is this one? Men aren't happy. That's the one. Men are not happy. And this is the other one. Because, actually, you know what? He puts it best. Like, every month or two, there's a post somewhere on Reddit by a woman saying something like, my boyfriend just started doing this red pill stuff and now I want out. Followed by 4 to 6 paragraphs explaining how her boyfriend is a controlling, abusive asshole who works out and wants sex. Because these traits are very unique to the red pill, and any guy who exhibits them obviously found us online and want to ruin them. These threads get seized by the detractors who point out, see, they don't work. They just end relationships and turn guys into assholes. So independent of what is and is not red pill behavior, situations like these are based on a bad assumption. Simply put, in the examples like this, the lamenting woman has presupposed her prior man's changes. Their relationship was actually good, and he was actually happy. Then he ruined everything by reading some bullshit online and told him how his relationship ought to be, and now he's trying to implement. That begs the question. If the relationship was fine before the boyfriend went all red pill on this woman, why is he trying to change things? Why did he go on the internet to seek out the sphere? Why is he happy? If he's happy with his relationship the way it is, why is he trying to improve his sex life and become more assertive? Again, all of this assumes that the stories on Reddit are true and the man actually sought out the red pill and didn't just stop kissing his girlfriend's ass for any number of reasons. And don't kid yourself. There is a lot of parallel tracks where guys accidentally find out what dread is and do it. There's this off topic, but there's a great dead bedroom post where a guy just literally checks out of his marriage and then it salvages marriage. And it was funny because all the dread guys are like, dude, how does he not know about this? And he was like, I've never heard of this red pill thing. What are you guys accusing me of? It was pretty funny. Anyways, red pill is here because men aren't happy. They don't want to be sweet and sensitive and do things all day for women and be the perfect boyfriend while having subpar sex every 6 weeks, paying out the ass for expensive dates and gifts, sacrificing personal time, getting bitched at and threatened with a breakup if any of this perfect behavior dips even slightly. They don't want to give back rubs and foot rubs and stay at home 1 weekend a month while their women have a night out with the girls, get disrespected and talked about behind their backs, cheated on, but just harmless, meaningless mistakes that don't really count. and get berated when they push back against any of this. They don't want to let women in rent-free and get pressured to buy a ring for four-digit dollars, to tie their finances to somebody who makes less than half as much money because they've been dating a while and it's time and they're supposed to and it's the next level. Sure, everything's hunky-dory for the girls, but for men, everything is not hunky-dory. Everything is not going well, and men are sick of it. So when a 28-year-old man with an entitled bitch of a girlfriend 5 years stumbles across the red pill, he reads stories about men not so much older than he is who don't have or want girlfriends. They don't need one because they have 4 or 5 women screwing their brains out on a regular basis outside of the relationship. They barely spend a cent on dates or activities. They barely lift a finger to impress women, but girls can't seem to get enough of them. So what these men do seems simple. Work out, focus on your career, practice your social skills, get confident, develop useful skills, interesting hobbies, essentially quit wasting time. Read nonfiction instead of fiction, watch less TV, play less video games, quit jerking off so much to porn. Spend that time doing something that makes you physically, mentally, or socially better. Red Pill tells men that their time is valuable and to use it well. Hand in hand with that, Red Pill tells men that since their time is the most valuable resource, quit wasting it on women when you're not getting something of equal value in return. If your girlfriend is ugly, sexually ungenerous, lazy, or just an entitled bitch that expects you to do all kinds of crap just to maintain the pleasure of having a girlfriend, is it really worth it? When you could be doing something that actually makes your life better? Yes, the red pill exists because men aren't happy, because these relationships that are allegedly just fine are very much not fine. Because men are giving so much to women and getting so little with the assumption that merely existing, merely being a presence in the man's life is all she needs to do become his highest priority. The men should be falling over themselves, getting in line to say, I have a girlfriend and nothing more. Men are sick of it. So guys, my man went red pill and ruined our relationship posts probably aren't going to interest or going to internet sites to get an instruction manual for how to piss off their girlfriends. They're normal guys who know in the pit of their stomach that something is wrong, they're wasting their lives, and that they're not happy. It's not their girlfriend's fault, it's theirs. They decide one day to take control of their lives, of their relationships, and build something they're proud of. And step 1 and 2 of that process involve asserting yourself, living the way you want, and expecting the people from whom you associate, example, your woman, to add value to your life equal to the value you're expending. The rest of the world shorthands that behavior as being an asshole and ruining relationships. How sad is that? Honestly and confidently pursuing the life you want and expecting others to hold up their end of a relationship is the new Hitler. Tell me that doesn't make sense. Tell me that doesn't resonate. That's Archwinger, by the way. You've seen him now. He forgets he even wrote this thing. How funny is that? That's why I'll take credit. Yeah, I wrote it. I just put his name on it because he needed the work. Yeah, it seems obvious, and it makes sense, isn't it? With that, yes, Virginia, you have to be an asshole thing. Yeah. Why is she calling him an asshole? Because he dares not be a whipping boy. And here's the thing. When he was talking about those guys that get laid, they don't lift a finger, they don't do much. Do you think those women aren't happy? Those women are happy. It's these other women that get the man that does everything for them, the self-sacrificial one. They're the ones that aren't happy. Do you know why? It's because it's too comfortable now. This is what I mean when I'm talking about the important big picture here. Back when life was hard and brutal and short, male sacrifice wasn't seen as like enjoyable. It was seen as a necessity. Some dude's going to come in and try and pillage your village. Better go get stabbed trying to save the women. They loved it. They'd marry that guy because you know why? Being bored wasn't so bad. Getting stabbed and graped, that was pretty bad. And so they make a choice. I'm going to pick the lesser of two evils. I'm going to be bored with this nice man who can cleave a dude's head open. But nowadays, we got cops, we got military, we got pit bulls, we got guns, we got cars, we got locks on our doors. And what happened now? Well, I guess I don't need protection from those graping hordes. I'm kind of bored. This guy's willing to sacrifice everything for me. It's great. And I'll take it. And I'll milk it for all it's worth, but I'm not happy. And that's why the main cause of divorce in 2023, in the year of our Lord, post 3 days on the crucifix, is happy. I'm not happy. It's not because of abuse. It's not because he's a drinker. It's not because he's cheating. It's not because of money issues. It's ultimately because the girl's not happy. I am willing to nuke this family because I'm not happy. That's it. And it's funny because like everybody's like, and it was like a whole complaint girls had. It's like, so they say it's not good for women to nuke a relationship because they're happy, but the men can. It's like, yeah, yes, it is. We're slow, but we're not stupid. If everybody else is doing it, being the honest man in a game where everybody else is cheating is bad game theory. So yeah, if you're not getting what you need out of something, you're going to decide, like, hit the bricks. Hit the bricks. And you know what? That started the little spark of dread. The hell is dread? Well, that's an old pickup thing, and I'm not going to get into the history of it, but yeah, it was just like, it's weird. Once the guys check out and become an asshole, women started responding better. The same way, remember that? Like, how long was it ago? What's the time on this episode so far? I don't even know how long I've been rambling. 50 minutes. Like 40 minutes ago. I was sitting here talking about that girl I was dating, and the worse I treated her, the better she responded. Guys kind of figured that out too. It's like, dude, when I start acting like a selfish, entitled asshole who has my shit together, and it's not just like being a proverbial man-child. It's like you top tier. You get shit done. The things that other people find attractive. You know, I'm earning good money. I am engaging as hell to talk to. Other people want me. So if somebody wants my time, they have to compete with other people. Like all those things. All of a sudden, people are happy again. Jesus, this misogynist is great. My girl's happy as hell. I mean, she's sick today, but she's normally happy. I'm happy as hell too. I'm an asshole, but happy asshole. The guys who've been doing this, they realize that. Once I stopped kissing my wife's ass, she started giving it to me more. How crazy is that? Again, amoral sexual strategy. It's not what you're supposed to do, but you already know that. That's the way people are built. We're built to want to sacrifice for women. You're supposed to marry that girl because that's the right thing to do. You're not supposed to judge her for all that stuff. And a lot of women are motivated to like believe that because, yeah, it works out well for them. Wait, I get to do anything I want? And you'll not only forgive me, but pretend it never happened? And then allow me to have the identity that I want afterwards of the nice, good, Christian, Catholic, traditional girl? Wow, thanks. I get to redefine marriage to where, what did Erudite do? Where she's got like, yeah, we have an open marriage and I slept with Destiny because he gave me drugs, but I'm a good Christian, much better than those people at the church. Jesus. Yeah. Sign me up. Of course women are going to believe that. Why wouldn't you? Dude, if I told you that strippers were entitled to give men blowjobs as part of like a moral hazard, do you think you guys would be disagreeing with me? No, you would find a way to believe that's true. No, I believe it. I've seen it before. It has to happen. Strippers will be all pissed. They're like, no, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure you have to pay. They're like, no. It's on the commandments. It's the 11th one. It's small printing at the bottom. Trust me. Yeah, of course. Can't even blame women. People are just giving everything to you. Why wouldn't you take it? Wait a minute. So I can just sell my butthole on OnlyFans and I can make rent? Or I can just sleep with this guy that I don't like? Well, at least this way I don't have to sleep with the guy I don't like. I just have to get paid by 100 dudes that I don't like and I can turn off at the end of the day. How awesome is that? OnlyFans for women is the sex dolls for men. Can't I just take a girl and throw her in the closet when I'm done with her or put her in the dishwasher once a week? That'd be great. That'd be great. So yeah, big picture. So I got one more for a big picture. Actually, which one do I want to use? That's a good question. There's so many things I could talk about. Now, this is all like big picture stuff. The thing, if you noticed on this, is not a lot of it is actionable. And that's kind of, where the hell's my, there it is. And that's kind of why theory is better few and far between. Because, so for a theory like this, or the stuff that I've been reading you so far, it usually involves probably 100 different actionable, practical field reports, concepts, and then you'll see like a theme will pop out. And once you've seen it and experienced it and read about it enough, you're going to find, okay, there's about 100 guys who are all experiencing the same thing. So you wrap a narrative around it, you give it a theory, and you put it out there. Now, everybody loves to do that part. That part is so much fun. It's that slogging field work that nobody likes. And that's why, like right now, 10 years later, I can talk to you about this stuff and I can point you to like very insightful pieces, very like pieces that resonate with you, that tell you things. Like I knew it. I knew I wasn't crazy and I knew it was there because there, for every one of these men aren't happy or whisper articles, there is 100 like completely retarded pieces that have nothing to do with nothing, or just a rehash of somebody else's thing, worded a different way, usually piss poorly. And so I don't want you guys to get the impression that it used to be better. No, it didn't. It's just there was, as always, there is a handful of guys who do the Pareto principle, that 20% of people doing 80% of the output. These were the 20% of people back in the day. And today there's a different, I'd argue there's more like 7%, but whatever. Everything's on a decline, right? Enjoy the decline. Which one? Dude, there's so many examples here. I'm trying to wonder which one I wanted to put in. Oh, big picture. Big picture. Let's see if we can go on that one. Actually, you know what we can do? Let's pull up this one. How to get laid like a warlord? No, I don't think I'll be doing that. Always dare, never dear. I'm going through the order of like the most popular to the least popular. Migrants in Germany. Oh, wow. Oh, right. The feminism one. That's the one we'll do. All right. Or maybe big heads. Actually, you know what? trp.red whisper. Let's see if I can find big heads. Actually, you know what? If I don't find it like the first 10 seconds, I'm not even going to bother because I kind of already know it. Yeah, I'm going to skip it. Anyways. Oh, actually, you know what? We'll do this one. Yeah, the Who Killed Marriage. I love this one because a lot of guys need a villain. Somebody to blame. You know what killed marriage? Those goddamn liberals. You know what killed marriage? Those damn feminists. You know what killed marriage? These hedonist guys. The television, Marilyn Manson. All this crap. They're the ones that killed marriage. Not me. Not you. And I'm talking about this in Dread, right? Like, who broke marriage? And all this stuff that everybody's talking about. They're just talking about the symptoms. They're blaming the cough, like the cold is, oh, they're coughing. The cough created the cold. Oh, that sniffly nose created the cold. It's like, no, the cold is a virus. Came from your environment. And most of the things that happen to us aren't because of like the limits of human behavior or some failing of your divine whatever. It's environment. It's technology. So lifelong, bilaterally monogamous marriage 1.0, sexual communism, you've heard all that. Men sacrifice the urge to sleep with every woman ever. Women sacrifice their urge to sleep with the top guy and they get a good guy and everything works well, right? The only way that worked was because everybody economically benefited from it. Men needed to work. We didn't have engines back in the day. We had a strong arm and a strong back. And if you wanted more crops for your empire, the only way to get that was have more men farming. And the only way you convince men to farm for you is if you're like, hey, you can have a wife and we'll let you keep some of the crops and you can use that to make your wife have some babies and you can have your thing because everybody loves families, right? And that's great. So then you get families. And that's when you get like people are together forever. Yay, it's great. Wonderful. I mean, shit still happened, but whatever. And it's because economics controls the age at which people become independent adults. In fact, I'll quote this part of it. Actually, no, it's kind of wordy. You know what? I'll just go on it. So there's a couple gates, decision gates, or I guess, points that people mature that cause things like a marriage and family creation and all this stuff. And sexual, like when do you start having sex? All these things happen. So for example, the age of sexual maturity, the age of legal sexual consent, the legal age of adulthood, the age of economic independence, the age of economic surplus. There's all these different things. There's all these different factors that go into it, right? The age of sexual maturity is for a girl when she gets her first Aunt Flo coming over for a visit, which, if I'm not mistaken, some girls are getting it as, I guess there's a lot of chicken steroids in the water. They're getting like 10, but it's usually like 13, 14, something like that. And for guys, it's once you become virile, which is about the same age, early teens. And hormones run wild and teenagers want to fool around and you get that, right? And so generally speaking, at that age, people could start making families, which they probably did when they were cavemen. Doesn't really important now. I mean, as far as spreading the genome of the human race, we don't really need to be alive after we're old enough to raise kids. So if you're 13, 20 years past that, yeah, it's good enough, grandma. You can go get eaten by a wolf now. Whether that happens, I don't know. The next one is the legal sexual consent age. And that's the one that we as a people have decided that no, parents are in control of the kids until, what's the ages? Russell Brand just had his thing. Is it 16 in the UK? I don't know. I'm not here to talk about changing the laws, by the way. I'm not going to vouch this thing. I'm just saying it's there. So we've decided until that point, you need, not going to happen. And then after that point, before legal adulthood, you need parents' permission. You need a permission slip to sleep with my daughter. Whatever. And then you have the age of adulthood. When are you no longer the legal responsibility of your parents, and when are you your own fault? And that's about 18. 17, 18, depends where you are, depends what's happening. The age of economic independence is a different one now. That's the age that you're able to live on your own without your parents having to pay for your rent. And then the age of economic surplus is, simply put, the age that you can afford a home and raise a family. So there's all these different ages, and they're spreading apart now. Back in the day, back in caveman days, they didn't care. Everybody had a tent. You lived communally. Yeah, you're 14, you're 14, go for it. We need a bunch of hunters. Go, get them. Make more hunters, because the Aztecs are coming over next month, right? So sexual maturity, legal sexual consent, legal adulthood, those rites of passage they did, the age of economic independence, the age of economic surplus, it was all the same time. It was between like 13, 14, 15, whatever. So no problems. That's the way we were at for like 200,000 years. Then the agricultural revolution comes on, and now we got to change. The sexual maturity hasn't changed. Our biology will never change throughout this stuff. The legal sexual consent, legal adulthood, I'm not sure what it was back then. Doesn't really matter. I just know it's different than it was for cavemen. Economic independence, economic surplus, I mean, they helped you raise a barn. It was a bit better, but 17, 18. So now you're telling somebody you can start having babies at 14. But you can keep it in your pants for 4 years, and then we'll help you raise a barn, start a family, work on the thing. That'll be great. Dealable. You could handle it. There was more issues. There was teenage pregnancies, shotgun weddings. There was a lot of kids were handed over to the nuns. I know my mom was one of those, so it's like, I get it. It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't what we have now. And now, because of the Industrial Revolution, there is a complete separation from male work and productivity. Oil is the new male strong back and strong thing. Automation. 1 barrel of oil is 20,000 man hours. There is no man out there who could compete with a barrel of oil in his lifetime. Problem with that is now we have an economy. And with the economy, housing prices go up, and the legal age of consent, because it takes a lot longer to train somebody to be economically viable. You have to go to school for 18 years. You have to go to college for 4 years. You might need some trades training. Guys are like, some people are as old as 28 before they become economic independent. There's still 35-year-olds that live with their parents. 35 years old, and they don't have economic independence. That used to be not so long ago. Like the generation before mine used to brag about moving out of their house at 17 and earning for themselves at that point. Economic independence. And it's gone all the way from there, from 16 to like 35 now. It's crazy. Economic surplus in this economy, it's not going to happen. The average home price is like $1 million in Canada, even if you're in buttfuck nowhere. So yeah, so now, but that's the problem, is that the sexual maturity hasn't changed. It's still exactly where it is. Hasn't moved an inch. So you got somebody who's 13, 14, feels the urge, feels the scratch, feels the itch. And you're like, look, we need you to keep it in your pants until you're at least 18. And they're like, oh, I'll try, and some will fail, but I think I can manage it. Okay, now, if you want a family, you're going to have to wait another 15 years until you can barely afford a down payment on a house. And they're like, I don't know if I can do that. So here's the problem. That's the spread is so wide now that premarital sex is not going away. We invented the pill, we invented birth control methods. Even if we didn't, people would still be doing it. We just have a lot more like sewer kids, or what do they call them? Alleyway kids, whatever. So that's not going away. And now everybody's doing it. And so now that everybody's doing it, morally, we've decided, well, if everybody's doing it, nothing's wrong with it. Except for the few Matt Walshes in the world who are screaming and crying about it. Probably because they weren't getting laid in high school. So, it's hard to be moral about something that you're the only one that never got to enjoy. But hey, I'm not the one who went to church every weekend for them to tell me that sex is wrong and bad while everybody else was having it. And then, except for this girl. I mean, that kid wasn't her fault. It was his fault. You can wife her up. All right, sounds, man. So when you get this huge separation like this, people, and that's how the environment shapes this. This is the environment, the big picture that the red pill is within. It changes everything. It changes familial creation. It changes the contract of marriage. And yeah, everybody's like, yeah, well, it turns out virgins have the longest marriages than other. Maybe true, but you're in a world where that's not an option. I am sure if all I ate was oatmeal and steak every day, I would be the healthiest and I'd live to 130. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. That just does not exist in this day and age. So you have to accept that technology produces the environment we're in, and it's not your fault. Right now, the issue is, why am I not getting laid? Everybody's getting laid. I'm not getting laid. So that's a problem, and that's fixable. But to sit here and be like, no, you shouldn't be doing that. It's like, dude, stop. Like this Luddites, the lot of them. Anyway, so back with this thing. I guess I'll put it in there. You can read it along too if you want to. He puts it a lot more. Scallywag kids, that's the one. So to put it all together, Western, lifelong, bilaterally monogamous marriage 1.0 can only survive if non-marital sex is socially unacceptable. People can't afford to get married early in a modern technological economy. If people cannot get married early, non-marital sex will become socially acceptable because hormones don't give a shit about the real estate market. And when this happens, marriage begins to crumble, slowly but inevitably, as alternatives become more widespread. Marriage 1.0 was doomed by the technological advancement long before feminism came along. The only thing feminism did was perform an unholy ritual to turn the corpse into a marriage 2.0 vile zombie nightmare that shambles around, looking like its former self, but existing to devour those who once loved. And that's why you've got poly marriages are the thing, and gay marriage is the thing, and divorce for whatever reason, for whatever you want, and remarry later. All these things are here. It's just like a big explosion. And eventually human beings will settle in on a system that works, assuming our environment doesn't change much more. Once our environment stabilizes, our decisions will stabilize. I don't live that long, and you don't live that long. Rome, I'll tell you now, Rome took 400 years to fall. So if you're sitting here bitching about how the fall of Rome is going to save you, it's like, no, man. It might save your great grandkids, but it's not going to save you. Deal with what's right in front of you. So, and this is why the part that gets me is I don't understand why people don't like this stuff more. You know what I mean? For me, part of it, like, obviously there's the part that it helps you with your life, frame things better in your life. The idea of frame is great. The idea of dread is great. The strategies are awesome. Some stuff works, some stuff doesn't. The things that do work, maybe it works for you, doesn't work for others. All of that complexity, very deep, not very wide. I think it's great. And it's like learning to cook. You're eating every day of your life, hopefully. Every day of your life, you're eating. And you can't be bothered to learn how to cook. That's what I think of people when they're like scoffing at this stuff. Like, how do you not want to know about this? Relationships, sex life. This is probably one of the most, next to food, water, and shelter, this belongingness with the human race thing is probably the most important thing you're going to have in your whole life as a skill set. Why do you not have an interest in it? And I've just given up looking for an answer because the only answer I get is like, I don't know, because you're an asshole. Like, fair enough. Fair enough, sir. Fair enough. So I'm going to move on to this one. I'm going to show you guys, like, so what is like the nuts and bolts of this? You're doing all big picture stuff. You don't talk about nuts and bolts. Well, I'm going to talk about nuts and bolts. I guess as a normal advertisement, I don't want to shit on anybody. What do I got here that I can use as a segue? Oh, what I can do. I think I got one. Yeah, the gaming channel. Fuck it.
Baby, I love you! Baby!
That's Digital Ryan. I'm sure somebody's put a chat in there thing for it. It's great. So Marty's, actually, you know what? I should put a pin on this. Thank you, Marty. It was something I should have done, but I haven't done yet. The next part is basically the Patreon. I'm not going to talk about it because discretion is like a very important part of it. But I've taken a lot of inspiration from something called Own Your Shit Weekly. It was a thing in the Married Red Pill. It was rude. It was crude. Yeah. But it kind of got the point. And since then, I've refined it a bunch. There's a couple concepts I kind of want to talk about before we get started, but let me see here. Let's sort by top. So I'm just looking for a random one here. I want to kind of do this real time so you guys can kind of see. Jesus. Maybe if we put some quotations around it here. Maybe I'll just scroll back. And we'll go to like 2019 or something. There's like 53 of these a year, so that's why. There we go. That works. December 1st, 2020. Good enough. So the first thing is about a field report. What is a field report? Why is it done? If you've read Praxeology Volume 1, you've probably already know this one. But I'll let you in. I'll let the those who haven't bought the book yet in on the secret. So a field report is a way. The similar thing to it is Jordan Peterson talks about it. I can't remember what his creative writing thing was, but it's. So there is a fundamental connection between writing and thinking. We think we just think things and then write it down, but it turns out writing influences our thinking because thinking fills in the gaps with emotions and feelings. Writing has to be specific. So if you're just thinking your way through your life, thinking your way through your strategies, you always hand wave away the uncomfortable parts. So you have to write it down. You have to write it down with the additional benefit of other people get to read this stuff too. And what guys will notice is like every one of my problems, there is 100 other guys who have the same problem or a similar enough problem that they're essentially the same. So there is a collective urge to, brainstorm. What did you do? Oh, what did you do? What did you do? So that's a benefit of it right there. Secondly, like I said, you're very hand wavy about the details. Writing things down, even if it's the thing that you're thinking and you're hand wavy about the details as you're writing it, becomes very clear when you read something. Just write down your own field report as an example if you ever want to see what I'm talking about here. And then go back to it a couple days later when the emotions are gone and whatever. And you're going to notice, dude, I didn't put this in, I didn't put this in, and I didn't put this in. One of the greatest advantages of having like outside people who aren't invested in you and having your anonymity to be honest is by reading your field reports. And once somebody's read enough of them, you start to notice patterns. What do people put into a field report when it's talking about sleeping with their wife? What do people not put in there? And when you kind of deviate from what a good one is, like guys who are successful and guys who aren't, like for example, I call it the Batman origin story. A guy's first field report is always this long-winded biopic because they don't know what's important. I have this life. I am not happy. I don't know why I'm not happy. I just know I'm not. Do you know why? I have no idea. And so what do? They list everything. My height, my weight, my apps, my wife, my kids, my life, what we did, what she said, what I said, everything. Guys, and they always end it the same way. It's like they dump it on your lap. You're like, what do I do? How do I fix it? That's the other thing too. It lets you know, oh, that means they don't have a direction. They don't have a vision. They don't know what they want in life. And they're just going through moment by moment, what is the most comfortable decision to make. They're not living life. They're letting life happen. Sometimes they'll bury the lead. Like you'll see, my wife's a bitch. She doesn't sleep with me, blah, blah, blah. And you wait like 2/3 of the way down. By the way, she's like 3 months pregnant. And you're like, holy geez. That was an important detail. You should have kind of led with it. Some people don't even put it in there. They're just saying, yeah, there's this, there's this, there's this. And like, yeah, I tried that. She wanted me to go to something. And they'll like offhandedly mention she had like a medical exam for the pregnancy. And you're like, did you not think that was worth mentioning? And that right there, it lets you know. Guys truly don't know their women. They don't know. They don't know how hormones affect it. There's like a huge amount of lack of knowledge there. And you can get all of that, not even by what's in the field report, by what's missing from it. And that's like a wonderful thing. On top of that, as guys get better at their marriages, at what they want out of life, at not emoting, you're going to start seeing changes. One, they start becoming the protagonist. It was one of those obvious things you would notice, that when a guy has no frame, he tells his story from his wife's perspective. You know, she does this, she does this, she's this, she's this, she's this. Like, what about you, bro? Sometimes just telling a guy, rewrite this from your perspective, switch every she with an I. It's called E prime statements. Anyways, a lot of guys do that, and then all of a sudden, this thing that was like an incomprehensible problem, horrors beyond comprehension, are like, oh, this actually makes more sense. I see what I'm doing here. You're like, all right, that's good. It's a good start. Do you know what you want? And guys just don't know what they want, but then that lets you know something too. That's the first start. What do you want out of this one? Well, I don't know. Well, pick something. Well, what if I pick wrong? Oh, you'll pick wrong, but you got to pick something. Don't worry about it. If it's wrong, it's not that bad. You'll be fine. You'll recover, and at least you'll know what you don't want. And that begins the important work, right? You go through doing everything you don't want until you've gotten through all the don't wants. Those become your boundaries. How are they your boundaries? Because I've experienced them. I don't like them. I ain't doing it again. All right, that's your boundaries. Well, what about what you said about the tattoos and the colored hair and the six-figure set? That's what some fucking asshole, and some of those assholes are me and my friends, so I get it, are just assholes telling you what to think. You don't need other people telling you what to think. Or maybe you do, but I don't. But what if I'm scared to do it wrong? And that's the thing too, right? Like this is where I toot my own horn, by the way. What if I'm scared to do it wrong? You're gonna be scared to do it wrong. That's okay. It's fine. You're gonna find out a more valuable lesson. You're gonna find out that being wrong ain't that bad. Making a mistake, you'll live. The planet will keep turning. Well, what happens if she leaves me? Is she really gonna leave you because you didn't wash the dishes on Tuesday? If so, this marriage is dead, sir. If that's all it takes for her to leave you, then I don't know what to tell you. Perhaps it's better you let her leave you now, as opposed to spending a year wasting your time on somebody who's like one bad chore away from leaving your ass and taking your money. Yeah, exactly. And Weimar Please is like hitting them all the points too. What if my wife will be mad? She will be mad. That's another lesson you have to learn. Actually, you know what? I could rant about like the what ifs. I'm just going to go into it. I'm totally stealing your thing too, Weinmore. He had like a series where he was just reading through the Own Your Shits for Weekly. Oh, good. From Deleted. I guess I'll put it in here so you guys can follow along. I'm not going to read them all, but they're at least there. So I'm looking at the first guy thing. So now that you've heard everything I've said, I'm going to maximize. Actually, no, I got to read your guys' stuff. So you see what I'm seeing here? What do I see? Guy in his mid-30s, tall, thin, been married for 8 years. He's got kids. He's got his lifting numbers on there. Even the lifting numbers tell you something. So what is he doing here? He's 5x5s. He's doing 155 pounds. He deadlifts 195. He squats 145. I have never lifted before, so I'm starting out. Like, no shit. Those numbers are from somebody who's never lifted before or is recovering from an injury. Sometimes you'll see like the deadlift, like the numbers usually have like a certain priority, like deadlifts usually the most, then squats, then bench, then, whatever. And when they're out of whack, you can either find out maybe sometimes a guy has an injury and then, oh, maybe you shouldn't be lifting. If you can't deadlift because your back is messed, probably don't be deadlifting. Don't just deadlift less. Guy who's never lifted before, it lets you know, like, that's why it's important. Went through some stages, current state, life place, I've been happy, see deposit effect. So here's something else you're going to notice too. In the second paragraph, he talks about he's been working hard for 12 weeks. Life is good. He's been happy. I'm guessing. I could be wrong. But for a lot of these ones, you will notice, and this is another thing that field reports are amazing for, people will state what has happened. Like a broad outcome. I'm happy. Everything is great. I've been stoic. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And then you read, and it's often in the next paragraph, sometimes the same sentence at the second half. They're doing the exact opposite of what they claimed earlier on, which lets you know there's a fundamental disconnect between what people think they're doing and what they are doing. And there's a reason for that. It's called, it's from an OODA loop. That's something I've stolen from Venkatesh Rao. It's the idea, and it's an old Air Force term. The idea is when you're doing air combat, The people who can perform OODA cycles more quickly are able to have air superiority. That's observe, orient, decide, and act. In this case, are you observing what's going on? Are you able to orient yourself towards like a good decision? Are you able to make good decisions, and are you able to act on them? And are you able to do this quickly? It's a skill set that you have to learn. So let me see. Guys can recognize these stages earlier and acting than I did. Okay, so he loved to talk about his plans. He loved to see what his future held, covert contracts and bullshit. Covert contract, by the way, if you don't know, and at this point I'm surprised you don't, is I'm going to do something with the expectation that the other person is going to reciprocate, but I'm not going to talk about it. They just need to know. And then I'll have a problem-free life and everything will be great. It's basically being unwilling to stand for what you want or say what you want. You expect the other person to just get it, which, wait a minute. A guy who wants his girl to just get it, doesn't that sound like a man being raised to act like a defective woman? Yeah. They want a guy who just gets it. So when you're a guy and you're like, I want her to just get it. You ever notice how it's psychologically stupid? Yeah. Stop acting like a woman. This is what I mean. It's just a shitpost, but it's true. So he found when he first came here, the talking, telling her his plans, it's all validation seeking. Hey, I plan to do this, babe. I'm going to be the best man. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to get a better job. That's nice, dear. That's the kid at the pool. Mom, look at me dive. I posted a retarded question a few months ago, did not get the answer I was looking for, told it was dumb, and then I was dumb for asking. I have a feeling he asked me, because that looks like exactly what I would say. You said my question was retarded, and I was retarded for asking. That was a far better than any direct answer. Yeah, it made me realize just shut up doesn't apply during shit tests. So then he started thinking about the concepts. He read No More Mr. Nice Guy, blah, blah, blah. He started exercising and running 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks ago, started lifting. The running doesn't matter. Anybody can run. Only guys can lift heavy things. The whole point of lifting. It's a guy thing. Anyways, I immediately, and you notice, like, once I started lifting, I started thinking about lifting a lot. It changed the way I thought, and then when I lifted, I knew after I did 4 reps, the 5th one was going to be hard. I didn't even think about failure. I just picked it up and did it. And so he's realizing this, where he stops overthinking things, right? Just from his lifting. I went to the gym. I started thinking about the gym. I started lifting, and I realized, like, oh, this 5th one's going to be hard. And I stopped thinking. I just realized, oh, I lifted the 5th one. Jamal Road, $4.99. I turn 26 tomorrow. Any wise words? Yeah, go to the start of this cast and start listening. There should be about an hour and a half of wise words for you, sir. Good luck. Thank you for the super chat. I don't mean to be flippant, but yeah. It took me a while to get here. Once it clicked, it was just a matter of doing the work. I judge my actions if I'm the person. So another thing you see from this, and like obviously there's going to be, I'm not going to be omnipotent at this. I'm good, but there's others that are just as good, if not better. You notice he's talking a lot of like broad things. He's not very specific. I am the person I want to be. I'm becoming the person I want to be. My actions are going to be different than everybody else. I started mountain biking. I started Taekwondo. I focused on my band. You notice he's not talking about what he accomplished. He's talking about what he's doing. It's like basically it's like a millennial thing. Like, I'm showing up. I signed up for Taekwondo. I've taken a class. I'm lifting weights. I'm great. This is awesome. Meanwhile, his lifts suck. I don't know what he's done in Taekwondo. Has he done a tournament yet? I don't know. The only value out of this was he realized that once I'm actually at the gym lifting weights, I stop thinking so much and I start doing things. And that was his takeaway. Now, keep in mind, this is 12 weeks. 12 weeks of this guy started lifting, started reading, analyzing, thinking, doing whatever. The only lesson he's got from this is when I'm doing stuff, I stop overthinking. That's the only lesson. He understood it. He said here, when I asked a question, you guys said it was dumb, and I'm dumb for even asking. He gets it. He just hasn't implemented yet. And it takes time, man. I wish it was something easy. It's a very simple thing here. He talks about wanting to have a better marriage, wanting to have better kids, wanting to have a high school body. You notice one thing he didn't mention? Any of the outcomes that improved in that. He didn't mention an improved sex life. He didn't mention his girl wanted to come to the gym to him. He didn't mention if she was getting a little irritated because, you know, she doesn't get to monopolize his time. He didn't mention anything. No outcomes. It's just he's starting. So you read this, and it's like a Batman origin story. He's sitting here. He's so proud. I am starting to show up to work. I am starting to do the work. That's what this field report is. 3 months in, I'm finally showing up. Now, it's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's bad. What I'm saying is it's nothing. That is the basic bare minimum to start. There is some real field reports. I don't know if we're going to get some real ones here. Fuck, there's a lot of people who've deleted shit. I think I might have picked a bad one. Let's see here. There we go. Another one. Mid-30s. A little fat. 5'10", 171. 10 years, 4 kids. Squat, bench, deadlift. Again, it's do you even lift, bro? It's starter lifting. It's fine. I'm not shaming it. It's just it is what it is. I spent a fair bit of time wondering to write about. You know what that tells me? He doesn't know what to write about, which means he's not experiencing things, which means he's not doing things. He's trying to overthink it. And look, sometimes uneventful weeks happen. I get it. Sidebar stuff's in there. I don't know how long this. Oh, he's been doing it for 28. So 28 weeks. Own your shit. 28. 28 weeks. I have nothing of consequence to write about, but he still wrote. You know why? Because he's like, I'm sticking to the program. As long as I stick to the program, everything will go. Covert contract right there. If you have nothing to report, if you have nothing to write about, if you have nothing to ponder, don't ponder it. You don't have to be in here. It's not something that, it's the same as the Taekwondo guy. Just showing up isn't enough. You have to accomplish something. And if there's nothing to accomplish, don't worry about it. Just don't write it down. Somewhere I decided that every own your shit needs to outdo the last one with some major achievements. Yeah, see, this is exactly what that is. This is it's like the magic soil theory. As long as I show up to the subreddit and post in this thread, they told me life will be great and I'll have a problem-free life. And it's like, no, it's not how it works. The specific place you're posting doesn't matter. It's the things you're going through that matter. It's how you solve those out. And if it doesn't happen this week, that's fine. It's got to happen eventually. I keep looking for shit to own, but I keep turning up that I'm happy where I am and where I'm headed. I have plenty of work to do. Sure, I'm still fat, autistic, validation-seeking, bundle of sticks in a lot of ways, but I'm also not. Acting like I was a decade ago or even a month ago. If anything, the biggest shit I need to own is how unbearably perfectionist I found towards myself. Always looking what I have to do. You see this? This is what they call in the business exposition. He's telling us about his identity. I'm weak. I'm fat. I'm autistic. I'm validation seeking. I'm a bundle of sticks. I'm a British cigarette. But I'm better than I used to be. This is Catholic confession, by the way. A lot of guys do that. Hi. Welcome, married red pill. It has been 3 weeks since my last confession. I have betaed 3 times. All right, we'll do 5 Hail Marys, throw out 3 racial slurs, and, go eat a steak. So he's sitting here telling how everything is better. Family better, job better, household, finances, everything. You notice this? It's very common, a lack of details. And this is one of those things that I've really worked on the Patreon to ruthlessly shut down. I don't care about your cheerleading. I don't know you. I don't like you. I don't care about you. I'm not supposed to. That's not the point. Be specific. What happened to you in the last couple weeks that you can show that I understand what a covert contract is. I understand how to set and enforce a boundary. I understand how to perform dread. Specifics are what matters. And this vague, fungible shit, this is just fluff. I took a year that most people pissed away and improved every single aspect, blah, blah, blah. You know what the difference is? I'm not afraid. You see this? This entire field report, how long is this? Well, it's like 3 or 4 paragraphs in. I'm not afraid. That's his big thing. I no longer feel bad. That's it. That's the root of this happiness. He's not happy either. That's the other thing. He's not telling you, he's saying he's happy, but he doesn't know what happiness is. He just knows what it's like to be fucking miserable. And today he's not miserable. But what did he do to earn it? No idea. I know his lifts suck. Are they better? I don't know. If I followed this, I'd probably know. So maybe there's like, chances are if his first lifts was just doing the bar and now he's up to a bar and a plate. Yeah, okay, great. No fear of this, no fear of that, no fear of this. Again, no examples. It's just feelings. And this is why own your shit is very important, because like he needs somebody to point this shit out to him, because he doesn't know. He's never been an action and results oriented person. He's been a guy about feeling, letting life happen to him and make it feel comfortable. He doesn't know. There's some more vagueness about being happy and blah with himself and yada, yada, yada. How the journey is great. This sounds like a fucking reality show is the problem to it. So you can already tell. You can tell why they they called me an asshole. All right, so, blah, blah, blah. Fear of what? Yeah, the real kicker is what? Fear of what? Fear of the outcome. And there's a lot of people suggesting meditations by Marcus Aurelius. It's really just bland pablum. I really feel bad about this one because it's like, I don't know, maybe it's just nostalgia talking, but it was like Wine More Please and me and Rule Zero Dad and S Curve Much and Bogey D6 and Huey McGill and all these other guys. We were very hard on each other. We were very specific and get to the point. None of this vague shit. And like Horns is great and and they're all good guys, but again, it's just hard. You really need like a drill sergeant in there for a lot of these guys. And Jack and I used to fight all the time about this. He's like, give these long-winded, specific examples. And I'm like, no, look at these guys. Most of these guys are wasting everybody's time, including their own. If they aren't bothering to do the basic bare minimum, I have zero time for it. And that's why everybody gets Do You Even Lift, Bro? I don't care about your feelings. So the new one here, 70 own your shits. 70 weeks. That's a year and a bit. 65, you know, he's doing pretty well for himself. Height, weight, wife, married 47 years, right? His doctor quit, new doctor overloaded, scheduling clerk, all concerned with the follow-up. Told it's been years, I haven't looked at any of this, could be a few weeks. Docs fill up the current list, daily stuff, HRT, Senefil's neurologist. Okay, so you see this? This is action. And this is one thing I like about older guys' reports. His doctor quit, so he has to look into new stuff. Getting on it. He wants to do HRT. He wants to do this, has to see a neurologist. Like he's taking steps to take care of his health. Awesome. Career, he's a contractor. He loves his job, gets to do things. You know, grad school, a few offers he's looking at. And then he realized, like, my first reaction to all this, like, great opportunity my buddy's thinking to me is all the reasons I wouldn't fit. You know, oh, I probably wouldn't fit the culture. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do this. And then he kind of realizes, like, what the fuck am I thinking? Pay will be better. The challenge will be more fun. Get to learn new tools, learn new tech. And in the meantime, my job's going well. He's learning abundance, right? Hey, I could take this new job. All that self-talk, me trying to talk myself out of it, that's just me being afraid of change. That's it. And so he realized that. His doctor left. He has to get a new doctor. Change isn't so hard. You just have to do it. And I love it too. And that's the other thing. So you can tell when a guy, and this is what's important to him, his health and his future career is what's important to him. Because those are the two things he mentioned. He's not worried about his sex life. He's not worried about, you know, other stuff. I want to be healthy and in good shape, and I want to maximize career. That's the decisions he's made. He'll focus on sex life when he wants to focus on sex life, you know? But it's short. It's short because he knows what the important parts are. And so he talks and it's almost like he's talking to himself about this and comes to his own revelation. And that's what a good field report is. Let me see. We got a next one. 35-year-old. Lifts suck. The books he's read. Another thing too, I've noticed this. Like every time somebody talks about the books they've read, like I've gotten through this, I've gone through this, I've gone through this, I've gone through this. I always look and I'm like, let me see an example of him enforcing a boundary. And usually they suck at the boundaries. So I'm like, you said you've read this book, but this is like an example that's exactly out of an assertive bill of right. And you didn't do it here. So either go back to it or like work on that specifically. That's the other thing. When somebody tells you what they have done and then they show how they've implemented it, you'll usually see a disconnect, especially on earlier posters. And then you just draw that out. Okay, you say you understand a covert contract. Here's 3 of them in the thing. So you need to start like mapping the terrain to mapping the map to the terrain. And that's something guys need help with too. They don't often, like, I've read the thing and they think reading the book is the knowledge. That gives me the experience. Like, no, it doesn't. There is, I don't want to throw him under the bus, but I can't think of a better example now. Dr. Jeffrey Miller. Love the guy. Great Evo Psych guy. He knows about like poly relationships, benefit women, not so much men. But he still has a poly relationship. He has all the data and he's chosen to ignore all of it because he wants his life to run differently. Maybe that works for him. Maybe it doesn't. So don't tell me I've read Rational Male like that means anything. That's why I make fun of guys who are red pill aware. Reading a book on cooking can't make food. Lifting's going well. Good about being impatient. Loading plates. Triple digit on squat makes me feel accomplished. The other numbers grow slowly. Yeah. So here's one thing. It's good. It tells you about this right now. He knows not to ego lift. He doesn't care about his numbers. He just likes seeing them go up, and he makes sure to do it safely. That's awesome. You know what that shows me? Shows me a guy is being deliberate, and he's keeping his ego out of it. It's amazing. He did a 5K run, half gravel, half sidewalk. So yeah, he's accomplishing. Even though it's just a 5K run, he's building success. You can tell it's a self-esteem thing, and this is how male self-esteem works. We're not like women. You don't just have to believe in yourself. You do something, You succeed at something that's outside of your comfort zone, and then that builds your confidence, and you use that confidence to achieve something that's bigger. And then you keep cycling through that, and that's how male self-esteem works. Last, own your shit. I was told to not run, just lift. I'm willing to accept it's not the right thing for skinny fucks staying out and need to eat a pizza. I think my problem is that I can't eat a pizza. I can and would regularly. I need cardio. So yeah, for him, it's like, you know what? I just need cardio. It's fine. He understands that that's the trade-off he's making is that he likes doing cardio, and it's going to cost him some size, which is going to cost him sexual availability. If he's okay with that trade-off, it's nobody else's. He's back from a Rule 10 ban. Oh. My own your shit last week was full of shit and didn't matter because my entire world was defined by my wife. I was just padding it out to try and hide from strangers on the internet. See, he gets it. He gets it. His last field report was all about his wife, and they kicked him out for it. And he came back. He's like, I get it now. It's because I'm not living. She's living. Sex 3 times in 2 weeks. Still very duty sex based on reward-based responses to initiations. So now right here too, right? I don't know if he knows the connection between the, I don't want to lift, I want to lift, I want to run. And I don't want to eat a lot. And I don't want to gain weight. Sexual desire is not there. Sometimes the purpose of field reports is like, look, I need you to understand that this is a consequence to that. So then guys can make better choices. Because a lot of times they don't understand. It's not easy. Consequences are not linear like you think they are. If I do this, then this. It's not how life works. If I don't lift and I don't eat and I don't sleep well, I'm not going to gain muscle. If I don't gain muscle, it's going to affect my sexual desirability in some way. But there's like 4 or 5 steps of distance between that first statement of, do you even lift, bro? And why won't my wife sleep with me with some enthusiasm, right? And I guarantee you'll find it. Most guys have found that, dude, I put on 10 pounds of muscle. My wife just started blowing me on the weekends. What the hell? You're like, yeah, that's how it works, man. It's visceral. My do not give a fuck is stronger, probably because of like what you guys were shitting on me for. I feel good. Not going to worry about how I hold up next short week. I'm going to lift. It's going to be my top priority. Still no fap, 7 weeks. Again, it's small, it's inconsequential, but like there's value in every field report. And then as guys get feedback from other guys, they get better at it. So I'm going to end on this thought because I think we're probably fucking close to time. 1:37. Actually, we got 20 minutes. I might have time for this and one more. Anyways, so for other guys responding to it, right? And you think it's just, isn't it just guys telling him what he's supposed to do? It's like, no, it's not. This is the best part of this. This is the swapping notes part of it. So when a guy reads a field report of this guy, there's probably 10% of guys who are living the exact same life as his. Maybe they're in the same place he is. Maybe they're slightly ahead of him. Maybe they're past it. And this is like a couple years in the past. For those guys that see themselves in this guy from a long time ago, they get a little mad. It's basically putting reflections onto their former anger. And how do you react to that? Oh, sometimes it's like, you stupid. Can't believe you're doing this. Just so you know, this. And they're very irritated and angry about it. They're not angry at him. They're angry at seeing the mirror. There's some insight in there. And that's when those comments, you're like, dude, why are you getting so irritated about this one? It's like, because that used to be me. It's like, good. But that's a good thing. He's not angry at the guy. He knows he's angry at himself, and he knows why he's angry at himself. That little bit of hate in your heart is a good thing. And that's what keeps a guy from regressing. I ain't never going back to that. Never. Then there's other ones where guys are in exact same situation as him. It gives them the confidence to know, okay, so I'm not the only one that's going through this issue. And this is what he's doing. Oh, it's kind of what I was going to be doing, and I probably should lift too. You know what? Yeah. So it gives them a little bit of confidence that, okay, so we're doing this together. I could follow him. He could follow me. We could ping off each other. Then there's guys that are maybe 6 months ahead of this. And for them, they'll come back and it's like, they get to learn. So if you guys don't know, I used to be a teacher at Fleet School, West Coast military. And one thing they teach you about teaching is retention. So if you read something, you retain about 10% of it. If you write something down, you retain about 15-20% of it. If you teach something, you retain about 95% of it. So for him, he's not offering advice. He's teaching. And he's not teaching because he wants to help that guy. He's teaching because he wants to understand what he's talking about. So as he's giving this advice, he gets better at retaining what it is he's trying to know. One of the best ways, if you want to learn a subject, is to teach it to somebody else. And that's what these guys are doing. So you can see like there's a whole ecosystem that develops. There is a guy who's learning how to frame his life from his own best interest and write field reports. I'm here looking for help. I need this. Ping some ideas off you guys. There is guys that are like, oh, that's just like me. I can do this too. And they write their own. There's guys who are like, oh, I did that a couple months ago. Here's something you can do that'll help you. And so you don't make the same mistakes I did. They're learning. There's the guy 2 years from now who's coming to terms with his previous self. Who's like, you stupid bundle of sticks, blah, 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 blah. And then there's the lurkers. There's the guys that are just reading this and they're seeing an entire ecosystem of guys. And yeah, some of this stuff's fucking embarrassing. My wife wouldn't. The one guy was talking about how his wife wouldn't give him a hand job without gloves once a year. That's fucking embarrassing. But he got that out there. And other guys are like, okay, my life could be worse. So why am I so scared? And then, but that's the thing. It's all benefit here. If this was all women, it would be posturing. It would be who gets to be the best victim. They would treat it like a hierarchy and they try to get to the top of it. For guys, they're here for a purpose. Whoever adheres best to the purpose tops the hierarchy. Anywho, so we got time for one more. You know what? I'm gonna skip to like near the end. Just get some random guy. Oh, this guy, his second one. Shut up, Ian. Second one. This is guy's second Own Your Shit. So he's in his 40s. He's 5'9", 150 pounds. Skinny fat. Been married for 18 years. He's got a 7-year-old. His lifts, absolutely beginner lifts. He read Manson's Models, which didn't really help me much at this stage, other than to remind me there's women out there if I ever need to move on. Still reading The Power of Now. See, like he's reading all this random shit that has nothing to do with the sidebar. That already lets you know this guy's wasting everybody's time. It's like, dude, we're here for a specific thing. I'm not saying those books aren't good. I'm not saying they're not helpful. I'm just saying they're not red-pilled. But he knows that too, because he's like talking about this one guy. It reads like David Daida meets Robert Glover. It's like, It's not red pill, but it's red pill. Don't worry about that. Oh, we're not worried about that, man. I'll dig into this since I got called out last week. Of course he got called out. He got called out because he's wasting everybody's time. His lifts suck. He hasn't bothered with any of the readings on the sidebar, and they're not there randomly. They're there because everybody else found there was certain books that were helping them and certain books that weren't. And so eventually it just kind of added to the lexicon. And at this point, they're like, okay, maybe we can add some more stuff to it, but you're not the guy to get there. Ask a guy who's been here for 5 years. He may have an idea, and if other people agree, then maybe they'll add it. Like Practical Female Psychology, that didn't get added until I was probably there for 3-4 years myself. I made the idea. I'm like, dude, I think we really should have this one, and a bunch of guys agreed, and there we go. And since I left, Sean Smith's Tactical Guide to Women, the guys thought that one was useful, right? It's a living document, but you can't be ignoring it. You have to know what it is and know what's in there to know what's worth doing and what's worth keeping. I've struggled every time I try to put on muscle. Takes forever to gain things. He's fat. He bought some plates, started some strong lifts. Now he's doing them on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. No more cardio. My body's responding, if slowly. Of course and that's the thing. He doesn't know. Muscle isn't quick. Muscle takes time. It takes a lot of time. He was one of those people that thought, if I work out, I'm going to get too big. It's like, no, that's not how it works, man. And then he realized, I don't even eat more. So he's like, I have to eat 3,000 calories a day to put on weight. It's like, yeah, you do. So now he's understanding. It's like, so he's really coming from a position where I just don't know how to be a man. I don't know how to lift. I don't know how to eat. I didn't realize that eating was important. I thought lifting just grew you. It's like, no. But that's the point, is that you learn from this field report. He does not know, but he's willing to learn. Everybody else was shitting on him the last week. He didn't come in here all woe is me crying. He stopped listening to the tone and he heard the content. It wasn't that he kept being called like a homophobic slur 500 times. It's like, okay, but I'm not eating and I'm not lifting. Got it. And I'm doing too much cardio. Got it. It's good. That's a good thing. That's when you can hear your wife's nagging and hear if there's actually words in there or just emotions. So we got a dumb shit test on Friday. He probably failed, putting up Christmas decorations. She started yelling at him that he was doing it wrong. I showed her what she suggested wasn't going to work. She kept bitching for another minute, and I just went about my business. Yeah, absolutely failed. It's not even a shit test, by the way. This is just plain old boundary enforcement. And in this case, it's the wife. It's called a double bind. And this is what a lot of wives do with the later I'm not going to get into the details of that. Just know it's a double bind. Anything he does is wrong, and it's not good enough. So what does he do? It's like, here's why what you're saying doesn't work, babe. That's a covert contract. If I show her that her method is wrong and mine is right, she'll agree with me. The conflict will be over and I'll have a problem-free life. What does she do? She continues to yell at him. He's like, I wouldn't have thought anything of this at all, except for I should have addressed the "what did I tell you" bullshit. She's never pulled that before that I can remember. It was disrespectful. I should have shut it down, but in the moment I couldn't think of any response. So I just shut up and ignored it. Now that's good. There's stages of learning. When you first start learning something, you screw up and you don't know why you screwed up. Then people teach you. And then you screw up and you understand why you screwed up. And then you're screwing up and you stop yourself in the middle of screwing up and fix it. Then, just before you screw up, you catch yourself and you fix it before you even screw up. And then you just stop screwing up. So he's obviously at the second phase where he's screwing up, but he knows why he screwed up. But he doesn't know what to do about it. And that's fine. That's why shut the fuck up exists as a strategy. If you don't know what to do, don't do anything. Take the draw, take a knee, just let it go, because you won't gain anything, you won't learn anything, you won't get better by shut the fuck up, but you won't lose and you won't be worse. And that's a good starting point. And then you reflect on it. And this is the purpose of those OODA loops I was saying. So he observed the situation. What did I do when I screwed up? Wife was bitching me out. I deered. Got it. Orients. Deering is not good. I need to know what I can do instead. Orient, and this is where you give them, like, this is why fogging exists. This is why agree and amplify works. Agree and amplify is probably a good choice there. Or you can nuke it. Shut the fuck up. Tell her to shut up. Whatever. Okay, orient himself. Which one do I want to go with here? Why do I think it'll work? That one. Okay, I'll try fogging. Then decide. All right, fogging it is. And then action. Next time she's bitching about the Christmas tree. Yeah, I can see why you'd like it this way. I'm still going to do it this way. What happens? Well, she just started bitching me out more. Okay, so that fixes out. The next loop, you realize, okay, so there is no good answer. It's not about hearing her feelings. She just wants to shit on me. So why do I put up with it? So what's your answer? I'm going to nuke it. You didn't put it up right. If you don't shut up, I am going to throw this tree off the patio. Sit your ass down. If you want to do it better, you take over. That works. Oh, then she just shut up and left. Mumbled something. All right, but that's the point, right? You figure this out over iterations. Sex dropped off. Next month went well, relatively speaking, but it seems like we're whipping back in the opposite direction. My wife's been closed off emotionally, and I can't seem to muster what it takes to break through. I find it unusual for her to slip in a funk like this, and I always have a hard time when it happens. My libido's been flagging for weeks now. Blah, 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 blah. I feel in my loins, low energy because I've been a depressed little bitch, or low T what. So this right here, like, you see this all the time too, and it's one of those situations where a guy stands up for himself, has boundaries, gets sexual reaction from it. He's just acting more attractive, and his girl responds by being more sexual. And there's this thing where you're supposed to reward good behavior, not reward bad behavior. Guys don't know what rewards are. So what they think it is I'm going to do what I used to do in the marriage. That's the reward. And I'm going to stop being this red pill asshole. Yes, you have to be an asshole. And then they start doing that. Then the sex life goes away and the girl gets closed off and they can't understand it. Like, oh, fuck, I don't get it. So then they start standing up for themselves again. And it becomes a cycle where every time you do it, it becomes harder because she's like, is this actually attractive or is this that fake attractive that I've seen the last time? And this is where he has to learn, like, if he's getting more sex, that's the reward. The reward isn't you acting like a bitch afterwards. And that's one of the lessons guys have to get. By the way, guys, I'm giving this out for free, but there is a Patreon where I go through this, like, specifically with guys' situations. And it's just like this. I don't pre-do anything. I do it in real time because I want guys to see how you can start looking this stuff up. Now, normally I'd respond with articles on this stuff too. I mean, with a lot of this stuff, for each one of these points I've made, I can point to a place in the red pill where somebody has gone through, done it, and either shown the example of how it worked for them or a theory that wraps it up into, which helps guys because then they get to learn more about it and get to see it more inner depth. We don't have that kind of time here. So he's realizing, like, why am I wasting all this effort when she's completely closed off? But he's doing it, but this is good too, because he's like before, he's like, I can't do it. I'm trying to win her heart and she won't let me. And then at the end, he finally understands, oh, so why am I wasting all this time for a frigid bitch who doesn't want to talk to me? That's like that little bit of frame coming in. Why am I wasting some time for somebody who's sucking the will to live out of me? No, I need to find my own internal source. This is what's called a New Year's resolution, where he's like, I need to find my own source. I need to do this. I need to do this. Don't do that either. I'd be all over that shit. It's like, no, don't tell me what you're going to do. Tell me what you did. Tell me what you did and be specific. Because this right here gives them a dopamine hit. I need to find my own source of positivity. It's like, no, go find it and tell us how it worked. Because you do this, you don't find it. You get the hit as if you actually did, and then you just like, I'll do it next week. It's always about next week. It's always about next week. So fuck that. And here's the other thing. So you clearly see his issue is his sex life, and his wife's a fucking naggy bitch, right? He has one field. Now, a lot of guys put a lot less than this. They basically describe, my wife's a bitch. I need to do something about it. And then he talks about like his business, his work, his company, and all this shit. A lot of guys do that too. And I'll end on this point. When they're in a discomfort, in this case, like, my wife's a frigid bitch, what do I do about it? Well, learn to stand up for yourself, learn to be more attractive. There's a whole process to get there. So what does he do? He retreats back into the things he knows. His work. You know what? At my job, things are going great. We're doing well. You know, or it's like, oh, it's crazy hectic. I need to focus on this. Fuck my sex life. It's that same victimhood shit, right? And it's right there. It's like, no, man. Stay here. Stay with your, don't go back to your spirit animal. Stay here. Focus on the pain. The pain is right here. Remember that Fight Club scene? Yeah. Palahniuk actually had some pretty good philosophical stuff in there. And this is where you realize, so you're talking about your frigid bitch, emotionally distant wife that's not fucking you, and then you've spent a third of your time here afterwards talking about work. Why? And that's the other question. Sometimes there's maybe a good answer, maybe there's not a good answer. Why? Most guys never think, why did they think this was important? That's the other thing. I've talked about the stuff that guys forget to put in. This is the stuff he did. Typing takes effort. You have to pick and choose what you think is important. This guy chose something that had nothing to do with his problem, and he spent a lot of time talking about it. Why? Does he know? Do you know? I think I know. I could be wrong, but does he know if I'm wrong, and does he know why? This sober second thought, a lot of the time, I don't even need to know what's wrong with it. I just need to know there's something there, and I need him to understand in his own life why it's there. My best guess is because that wife shit is uncomfortable, so he's going to talk about something that makes him feel good. He's always worried about his feelings. It's like, fuck your feelings. Don't worry about your feelings. Because that's all he did here. He's like, I will make our relationship my mission. I will unfuck myself here. It's like, yeah, New Year's resolution. Here's a problem. I fucked it up. I know why I fucked it up. I need to do better. No plans to do better. No roadmap to do better. No specifics in where he's going to do better. Anyways, work is great. So you got to quash that shit too. A lot of things is just a lot of field report work. And I love doing this. You can tell I fucking love doing this. It's boring. It's C-SPAN. It's like, oh, why would you listen to 2-3 hours of this a week? I'm like, fuck, I love it. I love hating how boring it is. But yeah, a lot of the things right here is just teaching a guy how to get out of his own way, how to stop sabotaging himself. And I used to think this is obvious. How do you guys not get it? But I've come to realize, like, I mean, did it come from a bunch of failed parenting strategies and parents teaching men to be defective women? Is this a failure of rites of passage? All that navel-gazy shit. And I'll end on this. I'm not going to sit here and say I know why this is the way it is. In fact, I think why, just asking why, is a stupid fucking question. It's one of my favorite essays on this was, why is a stupid question. You need to stop asking it. Does it matter why? It is. It's right there, and you know how to fix it. So who cares what the reasoning is? Who cares what the actual Batman origin story is? There is a problem, there is a way ahead, and the more time you spend thinking about why, the less time you spend actually fixing it. So yeah, why is a stupid fucking question? How is a good question? And it was a term I learned from the military. When they give you an order, and they're like, you're allowed to ask questions. You're allowed to ask amplifying questions. And it was one thing. Why is not an amplifying question? How is an amplifying question? Got it, sir. And it works. So, I guess we'll end this on some bants. Look at that. How's that for timing? I knew it was going to be close. B-A-N-T-Z. Let's do some crowd work with the chat. I have been ignoring you guys so much. I keep an eye out for super chats, but if I'm just doing my thing, I'll sometimes catch a message, but you're on your own. Men jerk off about how great they are for doing the bare minimum. It's an absolutely retarded mindset. Oh, it so is. But that's just it, man. The participation trophy generation's now in their 50s. How fucked is that? It's just something you have to learn. And again, it's this is why I do what I do. Like, I know you guys see the shit posting on Twitter, the books, read the books, you see my essays, you see my videos, and that stuff's all good, but this is really the meat of what I do. And I've been told constantly I need to market this more. I need to charge more for it. I really don't care about that. I'm earning enough. I'll earn more. I'm not going to turn it down, but I'm not going to actively change things to get there. To be honest, the way I charge now is just, it's based on time. I try to keep it down to 2 hours a week, 2.5 hours. If I get 3 hours a week more than twice in a row, I up the rates to slow down growth. That's really it. And then people will come in, other people will leave. So you tend to get like a good thing. We're seeing some old guys coming better. Ryan, when is your second book coming out? My third book will be out probably November. I'm finishing off the second draft now. My editor's already started on it. I got some structural issues to get sorted out, and we'll work on it. I feel trapped. I proposed to my 7-year-old girlfriend, or 7-year girlfriend, and we have a wedding date, and now I don't want to marry her, but I also don't want to break up. Well, you're going to end up marrying her because you're not going to make a decision, and the decision will be made for you, gaining value. That's the price you pay for being unwilling to make a decision and be unpopular. That's how much it sucks when you're so worried about hurting your girl's feelings that you're afraid to stand up for yourself. I would tell you what to do, but you don't need me to tell you what to do. You need to actually just do what you want to do and live with the consequences of that. And if you're going to refuse to do that, you're going to have your wife basically drag you along on her mission. It's a frame issue, sir. Where are we at here? Hay is not boring. Oh, it's so boring. That's what I love about it. I love the boringness. How many people remember in Ryan's old streams when he'd blatantly point out that people that look like they never touched a set of weights? Oh yeah, dude. And that's just it. There's some tells, man. Like, obviously, I'm not the biggest guy ever. What am I at now? Probably like 195, something like that. If I was to go like full 6-pack lean, I'd probably be 185. But there's a bone density thing and just a way people talk when they've lifted. It's hard to explain. There's 100 little tells you can see. He loves hating his own books. I do, man. I'm so close to hating this book right now. Nick was given a joke about how it was a piece of shit book. I'm like, dude, don't joke right now because right now I believe you. I'm at the stage where this is garbage and I fucking hate it. And then pretty soon it's going to be, I just want it out and I don't want to look at it again. And then I'm going to see it after the fact. I'm like, actually, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. That's just the process. Everybody has to hate. Ryan, give everything for the red pill. It's time for us to give something back. Well, that's what the super chats and the views and the Patreon and the book sales are for, sir. Ryan is criminally undervalued. Yeah, fair. Bone density. Yeah, oh, Lionel, you didn't know that? So when you're lifting, there's a reason why you tell kids not to go on steroids. Yeah, it kind of fucks up their hormone cycle, but it's more than that. The connective tissues don't get a lot of blood flow through them, and so they grow very slowly. Very slowly. So if you start doing steroids, you get huge muscles, but your tendons, your joints, your bones don't have time to grow, and that causes problems. That's why you see a lot of guys who've been doing steroids since they were teenagers walking around like with broken backs and slipped discs. And so if you've been lifting for like a decade, your skeleton, your bones actually increase their density. You get a stronger skeleton to put up with it. Your joints and tendons, you get thicker. That's why when you see old guys, you know that old man strength where you see a guy, he doesn't look very strong, but his wrists are huge and his fist looks like lunch pails. That's what like an extreme level of connective tissue growth looks like. And that's why that old man who doesn't even lift, bro, when he doesn't have, 6-inch pythons but he grabs your hand, is like, oh my God, it felt like a vice grip. That's what that is. What are your top 3 best advices to a 22-year-old? Is there going to be anything about that other than being 22? I don't know him. What advice am I going to give the guy? What would he listen to? What is his problems? What is he? See, it's this general shit that you guys got to get out of your stupid heads. There is no general life advice other than lift. Lifting weights as a guy is the only universal advice you can give. Only one. Everything else is optional. What is he deficient in? Fix that and be not deficient in it if it's something he values. That's really the only advice you can give anybody. Oh yeah, fair enough. Don't go to jail, don't knock a girl up, and lift weights. Okay, I will say there's 3 things. Don't knock a girl up, don't go to jail, and lift weights. That's the 3. Everybody's talking about the 6s, the 3 6s. There's the 3, I don't know what to call them. We got to come up with some catchy term. Let's wordsmith it. The 3 don'ts. The 3 don'ts of the red pill. Don't go to jail, don't knock her up, and do lift weights. The 3 Ds. Well, I won't say don't eat yellow snow. It's not the worst thing. You can learn that the hard way. It's not a life-changing thing. Anyways, I am done. I managed to get through this whole thing, not making fun of Stedman once, not making fun of Tate once, not making fun of Matt Walsh once, not making fun of Erudite, not making fun of Anthony Johnson, not making fun of Rollo, nothing. All right. Coach, give me advice. Number 4 better surprise you. It's technically drinking water, bro. You made fun of Erudite? Ah, goddamn. Well, I didn't use the video then. Right, fair enough. Anyways, that's it. Rule 0's on Rollo's channel. We're going pretty heavy on this one. Bringing the divorce guy in there. It'll be pretty fun. I'm going to do the thingy. Hope you guys enjoyed yourself. Like, subscribe, pass on to your friends. You know the deal.
Learning Corp, Little Red Riding Hood, take 1.
I might start doing, let me know what you think, by the way. If the views align with this, I might stick to more boring C-SPAN podcast content, because you guys have been responding well to the mids watches that do that, so we'll have to see. Anyways, I gotta hit 22 seconds here for the end card if I decide to put it in. I'll see you guys over there. Let's make fun of Matt Walsh and be pricks again.